The other day, we reacted to Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft 1.0 for the 2025 NFL draft, and that is very different than a big board. He's released his top 50 big board, which is just an actual ranking of these players in his mind. Now, teams' big boards are going to be very, very different because teams value different things. They have different thresholds that some players will meet, others will not, and they run different schemes. So, depending on what they're looking for, they're going to rank players higher or lower. This top 50 is just trying to assemble the best 50 players in the draft, regardless of scheme fit, positional value, etc. This is just in a vacuum, who's better than who, and it should be very close. He actually said that 20 to 60 is actually pretty comparable. There's not really a big gap in there. So anyway, let's check out his top 50. We're going to be reacting to this. I have seen it, of course, but it'll be interesting to see somebody else's take on it. Of course, Daniel Jeremiah does this as a job. I highly encourage you to check him out. Twitter.com/movethesticks and also NFL.com. He does this as a job, was a scout, was a college player, has been doing this for a really long time. I do this as a hobby, right? I don't have the time to get to as many players as he does, right? I try to, but it's not possible. And of course, he's a lot better at evaluating than I am, so go show him some love. But it's going to be really interesting to see somebody else's take, and we'll kind of learn about some of these players for those of you who are not really familiar with some of these guys yet, but really want your team to get better in the NFL in 2025. So we'll kick things off with number one. There are a few surprises on this list that I was not ready for of the players that I've either watched and maybe didn't love so much or not watched at all that are actually included pretty high in these rankings. We'll start with Penn State's Abdul Carter. He's an edge rusher. Says Carter is an electric edge rusher, average height, bulk, but he has an elite burst and ability to flatten at the top of his rush, which is special. He gets a lot of early wins because of that speed, and he also has a nifty swipe/rip move. And if tackles overset, he senses it early and crosses their face for immediate pressures or sacks. He has also a natural ability to retrace underneath when quarterbacks climb the pocket to avoid him. He can press out and control tight ends at the point of attack. He's a blur when chasing down plays on the backside, which to me is kind of the thing that stands out the most when you watch Abdul Carter. Like, yes, this guy is continuing to develop as a pass rusher. It's his first season as a true edge rusher for Penn State. But in space, his closing speed is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think it's ridiculous to have him as the number one player in the draft at all. To me, it's kind of like a two-horse race between Carter and Hunter. Hunter's kind of like this unicorn Swiss Army knife, whereas Carter's just a really, really good player, super athletic, and I think in play to be that number one overall pick. I would be surprised to see him escape the top 4, but I guess I could see, any of those teams, but it'd be hard to think that he goes to 5. Although I remember, of course, didn't think Larry Tunsil was going to be available beyond number 10, and Leonard Williams fell. He was, I think, expected to be the number 1 or 2 pick for a while, ends up going at 5 or 6. So things happen. I know in the offseason, Abdul Carter had some type of misdemeanor battery with a tow truck driver. I don't know, maybe that comes up and it hurts him. We thought Jalen Carter was going to go high, and he killed someone driving recklessly. Obviously, you don't want those things to happen, but weird tangent. But yeah, Carter is certainly in play to be one of the first picks off the board. Travis Hunter from Colorado is here at number 2. We know about Travis Hunter at this point. Now, what's interesting about Daniel Jeremiah is he thinks that Travis Hunter should actually be a wide receiver over a corner, which is unpopular. I think that, to me, I watch him, I go, this guy is an incredible corner. He's got the tenacity, he's got plus ball skills, which does make him fit as a receiver. But that's why I think, okay, bring him in the red zone, let him go to work, let him play, 15 snaps a game on offense and impact the game that way, but just put him out there on an island and let him take away an opposing team's wide receiver 1. He's also great in zone coverage, so I think that's something that, his instincts are unbelievable at corner. It just feels like a travesty to have him only play wide receiver, where instincts are a little bit less important. Yeah, you got to kind of recognize coverage and know where to sit down in the open space in zone or versus zone, but as a corner, this guy's such an incredible playmaker, and I think he should be a corner. But Only concern for DJ is the question of how long he will be able to physically hold up if he continues to play on both sides of the ball full time at the pro level. I'd prefer he prioritize offense and moonlight on defense. And just moonlighting on defense is weird to me. I don't know. I guess in theory it would work the same way as it would on offense. We just haven't seen that. It seems bizarre. It's a lot to learn as well. You got to be incredibly smart to remember all these different things on both sides of the football. It's an interesting challenge to see where Hunter goes. But number 2 seems about right, as we have Ashton Jeanty, Boise State running back, at 3. Says he's a fun player to study, short, compact runner with incredible strength, balance, and burst. He displays outstanding vision, tempo, and feel. I think the thing you notice the most about Jeanty is his ability to bounce off tacklers. It's not necessarily that he's an incredible power runner. He's not exactly punishing and just bowling through defenders at a routine level, but he just does not get tackled. He bounces off of everybody. He's slippery. His contact balance is among the best I've ever seen. At number 3, I think, is a great spot for Jeanty. As we get to Mason Graham at number 4, he's a powerful defensive tackle with outstanding leverage and instincts. He's one of the most consistent players in this draft class. Yeah, I think he has game record type potential. He is really, really good against the run and can rush the passer a little bit. I think he's a safe player. I've said the entire cycle, I think he's a top 5 or 6 player in the draft. 4 seems like a fine spot for him. But we do have Tyler Warren at number 5, the Penn State tight end. Massive tight end, 6'6", 260, who was the Penn State offense, really. I mean, they had a good running game as well. Katron Allen, Nick Singleton were both back at Penn State. But it wasn't too dissimilar from when, Trey McBride was the Colorado State offense, or when Harold Fannin was the Bowling Green offense this past year. Tyler Warren's a really, really good player, and he can block, and he's, of course, very, very good with the football. He compares him to a less dynamic Rob Gronkowski. I liked him to Jeremy Shockey. Gronk is a pretty lofty comparison, but if he can be, 80% of Gronk, you've got a really, really, really good player. As we get to Jalen Walker at number 6. He's a compact, powerful defender with length and explosiveness. Played both on and off the ball in the Georgia defensive scheme, but he's at his best on the edge, so on the ball, right? As a pass rusher, he can win with pure speed, power, and an explosive counter move. He's also a weapon when used to spy the quarterback. He can mirror the quarterback's movement before closing the space in a hurry. He dominated in the Bulldogs' first meeting against Texas during the 2024 season. He's a firm edge setter against the run. When he's stacked off the ball, he's a touch late to key or diagnose, but he can attack and take on blocks or scrape over the top for tackles. He has outstanding change of direction, quickness, and space. Overall, Walker is a tone setter on defense, and Georgia coaches rave about his makeup and leadership. So he is, a little compact. He's 6'2", 245, 240, and it's not like he's an incredible player in zone or as a spot dropper, but I think that's why Georgia used him as a spy. Just let his athleticism go to work. And when they started playing him off the edge more, he used that speed. He's really a speed to power guy, which is interesting for a guy that's, only 245 pounds. He does really have a pretty good bull rush, but he is the number 6 overall player for Daniel Jeremiah in his draft as of January 29th. He's an interesting player. He's not going to fit probably everywhere, but for, I would say, probably a 3-4 oriented defense that can kind of move him around sometimes and let him rush the passer every third down, I would say he's going to be a fun fit. We'll see where he ends up going. Colston Loveland at number 7. Long, lean tight end with outstanding awareness, quickness, and big play ability. He's lined in line as a wing and in the slot. I think he's probably not going to be an inline tight end in the NFL. He's just not that level of blocker, but use him as a weapon, as a big receiver. I think some of the things you like about, not that they're the same player, but some of the things you like about Dalton Kincaid, you like about Colston Loveland. I know DJ was a big Kincaid guy as well. He loves these kind of mismatched tight ends that can go down the field, run, catch the football, but his lack of bulk impacts his ability to stay connected as a run blocker. Overall, Loveland is equipped to make a lot of catches as he's starting tight end in his rookie campaign. He's not Brock Bowers, but he's more that style of tight end compared to a TJ Hawkinson even, or obviously a George Kittle. At number 8, he's got Will Campbell. Has ideal height, bulk, and athleticism for the position. In pass pro, he stays square, bends well, and keeps his hands in tight. He will expose his chest at times due to his lack of ideal length, which we've talked about. But DJ seems to think that he can stay at tackle, which I've seen some other people say recently as well. He is just scratching the surface of his potential and should start at tackle for a decade, provided he stays healthy. So I feel like you could have said similar things about Peter Skoronski, and that's kind of who I see in Will Campbell. Really technically sound, pretty good athlete, and seems to be really smart. Lack of ideal length, I would think, would move him inside to guard, but it seems like, maybe try him at tackle. Could be the best tackle in the draft. The tape is really good. I've said it the entire time, but I still think that a lot of teams are going to have him as a guard. We'll have to see if he can stick at tackle. He's got the potential to, it would appear, but we'll see what the arm measurements are. Maybe that kind of changes things if they're like verified sub 33 inch. Think about 34 inch arms are like the typical tackle standard for the NFL. You typically don't see below that. At number 9, hook 'em. It's my guy Jahdae Barron, talented Swiss Army knife. He aligned outside in the slot and in the box as a dime linebacker for the Longhorns. He made impact plays in every game I studied, which makes sense because Jahdae Barron makes impact plays in every game. And whether that's being in the right position for an interception or attacking the line of scrimmage the same way Brian Branch was at Alabama, this is somebody that is a master at blowing up screens, jumping slants. Anything in the short to intermediate range is just not really going to be going for a lot of yards on Jahdae Barron. He's got incredible, I would say, quickness, but it's his instincts that make him such an outstanding player. He doesn't miss tackles. He really is incredible, and I've hyped him up, of course, on Twitter when I'm live tweeting Longhorn games over the past 3 or 4 years with Jahdae Barron. He's just such an incredible player, and I do buy the Brian Branch comparison. I think Barron might be a little bit better of an athlete. Branch was just so instinctive, such a great tackler, sticky in man coverage as well, but lack of ideal size and lack of ideal athleticism when it comes to traditional testing, I think moved him down to number 45 in the draft. That's why I have a hard time buying that Jahdae Barron's going to be somebody that goes even close to the top 10. I wish that he would. I love him as a player. He's been my favorite player at Texas over his career there. But we just see the way the NFL values these slot type corners. And I know he played on the boundary at Texas this past season. It was great. I just don't know that he's going to do that in the NFL. And I don't know that it's his best position in the NFL. I think he's an incredible player in the nickel that can play on the boundary if you need him to, but he's such a great nickel that I would want to keep him there, ideally. At number 10, you have Cam Ward from Miami. Overall, Ward will need to be reined in, but he's a gifted thrower of the football. If he can learn to better manage the game, he has a very high ceiling. I would say that when you watch him, he does have very quick hands in the RPO game. He makes decisions very quickly and rifles the ball out. It's tough to get this guy on the ground if he actually tries to get rid of the football. I think that's kind of a problem, though, sometimes, is that he just holds on to it for so long, running into sacks and kind of making negative plays where they don't need to be there. Sometimes as a quarterback, I think you need to take 0 instead of a negative play. 0 is better than losing yards or launching a ball into traffic, which Cam Ward has sometimes done. But very freewheeling brand of football. He's a gunslinger. This guy's always trying to make a play. There's something to be said for that. Just has to be, I think, reined in is the correct thing that you want to say there. He's just got to be a little bit more under control, on time, and function within the structure of the offense. But there is definitely potentially with Cam Ward, who's ranked very close to the presumptive or definite QB 1 or 2 in this class in Shedeur Sanders from Colorado. He's a slightly undersized quarterback with outstanding touch, accuracy, and toughness. Overall, Sanders doesn't have elite size, arm strength, or athleticism, but he can find success in an offense based on timing and ball placement. The one thing that gives me pause with Sanders is this is a very similar review of what you would say about a Tua Tagovailoa, who needs to be upgraded probably. I hate to say it because I know the Dolphins fans are going to get mad at me, but with lack of big-time arm strength it really shows up in the short and especially intermediate areas of the field. It's not about throwing the ball 70 yards. It's about rifling it into tight windows in the short and intermediate, especially intermediate areas of the field. If you cannot do that, you need to be absolutely perfect in terms of anticipation and accuracy. There is no margin for error, really. And we've seen Tua be quite good, but a lot of these are actually predetermined where he's going with the football. Is it great anticipation, or is it just the design of the play? Is it Mike McDaniel? It's an interesting conversation for sure, but that's the big pause with Shedeur Sanders. The arm strength really makes it so he's going to have to be perfect with timing and anticipation, and that's something that why you might prefer a Cam Ward, because there's a little bit more margin for error. He can rip the ball into some of these tighter windows where Shedeur Sanders is not really going to be able to do that unless somehow develops, average to plus arm strength in the near future, which is unlikely. At number 12 is Will Johnson from Michigan, ranked a little bit lower than I think we're typically used to seeing. However, it's not the first time I've seen this. Some people are not actually massive Will Johnson fans based off of his 2024 tape. And apparently the two issues that showed up in his 2024 tape was inconsistency as a support player against the run and questions about his deep speed. Now you could say, okay, maybe he's just like dialing it in a little bit. He already had his draft kind of prospect prestige already established. This was a guy who was just kind of coasting until he could get drafted. It was a worse Michigan team, right? And maybe he was phoning it in a little bit, as they say. Now, you can say similar things about the player that Derek Stingley Jr. was at LSU his final year there. He was not the same as he was early on at his LSU career. And then, ends up going to the NFL. He's one of the best corners in the NFL right now. Could it be a similar deal with Will Johnson? I think if he goes to the combine and runs in the 4.4s, I think he's back up into the top 10 on this rankings, I think, almost certainly. I never really care whether a boundary corner is like elite against the run, especially on a bad team in college. Like, yes, you want to see that toughness, that ability to compete on every single play, especially as a corner, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I think we've seen it with Derek Stingley Jr. recently. The guy goes to a competitive NFL team, and he's one of the best corners in the league. Will Johnson, I think, could be a similar type of situation. As we get to a player I love, and I love that somebody else loves him, Jahad Campbell from Bama at 13. He's a tall, rangy, and explosive linebacker. Of course, was recruited as an edge rusher, and this season he played both off the ball and on the edge. As an off-ball linebacker, he doesn't possess elite instincts, but offers excellent speed and physicality. He can range sideline to sideline and flashes the ability to thump off blockers and collect tackles on inside runs. This is a guy that's 6'3", 245 pounds. He's not small. This is a throwback linebacker with modern NFL linebacker athleticism. He displays exciting tools in his pass rush opportunities off the edge. He was a 5-star or at least high 4-star edge rusher committed to Bama. There's something there. He can burst, bend, and finish, although I think he's best as a rusher inside as opposed to as a true edge player. He also grew more comfortable in coverage throughout the 2024 season. He anticipates routes and positions himself to make plays on the ball. Overall, Campbell expands the playbook for defensive coordinators, and his best football is ahead of him. I love Jahad Campbell. I think it's going to be interesting. Remember when Quay Walker was coming out, where he was an off-ball linebacker that was kind of versatile, kind of long for an inside linebacker, where it's like, okay, are some teams going to have him as an edge? I think there is a less than zero chance, significantly more than that, that Jahad Campbell is an edge rusher on several teams' boards, because he's got the size to be an edge rusher. We'll see what the arm length ends up being if that comes out. And he certainly has the athleticism and the upside. I'm not saying Micah Parsons at all, but that is an off-ball linebacker that was turned into an every down edge and has obviously been quite a good NFL player as a result. We've seen that, with Abdul Carter. Could we see it with Jahad Campbell? Does he have game record potential off the edge? It'll be interesting to see if a team tries him out there. I am very intrigued by Jahad Campbell. I think he's the best off-ball linebacker in the entire draft. But could he be like a Jalen Walker and rush the quarterback at a high level? He's certainly got the size. It'll be interesting to see what his role ends up being. Tyler Booker at 14 is a surprise, but he's one of the cleaner evaluations in the draft class. He has ideal size, awareness, and consistency. In the pass game, he sets with a wide, firm base and easily absorbs power rushers. He keeps his hands tight, and when he locks on, he wins. When he's uncovered, he looks for work and delivers some nasty shots to unsuspecting opponents. In the run game, he can move defenders lined up over his nose, and he's excellent on combo blocks up to the second level. Takes great angles, and he gathers and walls off linebackers. Sources at Bama compare his leadership qualities to those of former Tide star Will Anderson Jr., and he should be an immediate starter with Pro Bowl potential. I liked him. I haven't seen a ton of games, maybe 2 or 3 for Booker, but he's definitely good. I never really saw Pro Bowl potential. I didn't think he moved quite as well, but yeah, strong grip strength, that's certainly valuable. Number 14 was a surprise to me. I thought maybe somewhere in the 20s or a little bit outside that. But DJ obviously very high on Tyler Booker. And in a class with a lot of interior offensive linemen, mainly tackles moving to guard, Booker is a true guard that we've seen play guard and do so at a high level at a prestigious school, of course, and in a prestigious conference. Tyler Booker could be quite a good player, and yeah, maybe a good fit to the Bears there at number 10, depending on who is available. Otherwise, you look at Seattle, even though they won't draft a guard, it's obviously quite a good fit. You look at maybe Los Angeles if he's available, Minnesota. I think there are teams that would consider guard here. Houston, have to see what ends up happening there. Teteroa McMillan, tall, rangy receiver with a Drake London type skill set. That's exactly what I saw. He is good after the catch, but you wouldn't expect that given his size. He's quite a good mover. But overall, DJ says he thought London played with more urgency as a prospect, but McMillan has the potential to provide a similar impact at the next level. He's also a guy, throw it up to him, he can go up and get it. Definitely someone that would fit in Carolina, New England, maybe even the Saints, I think is actually a great fit if McMillan is available at the number 9 spot. Mykel Williams at 16. Talented edge rusher with rare physical traits. He's got the same reason that Trayvon Walker of Georgia went number 1 overall. Mykel Williams is going to be in that top 10 conversation. He played injured like all year, but at 6'5", 270, with his type of burst, his extremely long arms. Think about Tyree Wilson going as high in the draft. This type of player, big, really long arms, explosive athlete, these guys go high. They do. Williams, I think, ends up being a top 10 pick on draft night. The injury maybe hurts that projection a little bit, but overall, this guy is a really, really high ceiling player. We see them go high. I would be shocked to see Williams go outside of the top 10. I really would. Armand Membu at 17. Some people think is the best offensive lineman in this class, even better than Will Campbell. Thick, square right tackle prospect with long arms. He's short. He's like 6'3", but he has 34+ inch arms. In pass pro, he explodes out of his stance and shoots his right hand to stab opponents before reworking both hands to control. He can bend and redirect smoothly. Overall, he may be able to hold his own at tackle in the NFL, but has the tools to become an all-pro guard. Reminds DJ of Elijah Vera Tucker coming out of college. As we get to Kenneth Grant at 18, massive defensive tackle, about 340 pounds, who is actually quite athletic for that size. Quick, violent hands to club swim for wins, but far too often doesn't have a plan and stalls out. Having a pass rush plan is pretty important for defensive linemen because it's not just what your first move is. Can you go to a counter move and maybe even a third? That's part of why I loved Leatu Latu coming out last year as an edge for UCLA because the guy always had a plan. If the first thing didn't work, instant counter, instant counter. He just was a relentless force getting to the quarterback. For Kenneth Grant, overall, there is some assembly required, but he has the physical tools and he's worth the investment. He's an NFL nose tackle. He's great against the run. See if he can develop as a pass rusher. So we got to another Longhorn, Kelvin Banks at number 19. Thick, sturdy left tackle. Pass pro, he launches out of his stance and shows the ability to sink and bend his knees. Some teams see him more as a guard, but DJ thinks he can hold up a tackle. Overall, Banks has some things to clean up, but I like his core foundation of strength and agility. I think he's on the ground a little bit too much from what I watched. Obviously, I've seen him play every game of his career on broadcast or in person. But when I watched the All-22, he's on the ground kind of a lot, which is not really what you want. But I do really like him as a player. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased towards my Texas guys, but I think I always rank players fairly. I don't push Texas guys up because I like them more, and Oklahoma players down because I hate Oklahoma. I think that would be absolutely ridiculous, especially given that, this is my job in a way. As we get to number 20, James Pierce from Tennessee. Long, lean edge rusher. For such a lean frame player, he can generate a lot of pocket push with his bull rush. He's only like 240, 245 pounds. It'll be interesting to see what his weight is at the combine. He exposes a lack of athleticism along the interior of offensive lines. His burst is just absolutely ridiculous. Also, very productive. His pressure rate stands out among his peers in this class. Against the run, he plays bigger than his weight would suggest. He sets a firm edge, especially against tight ends. Overall, Pierce has double-digit sack potential and should make an immediate impact in the league. And that might just be as a designated pass rusher right away. He just is not going to be an every down player at 240 pounds. He's just not going to be. He's going to have to be 250, maybe even a little bit more than that. But he's got the frame to potentially add weight, so we'll see. Nick Emanwari at number 21. I love seeing the Nick Emanwari hype. I love him as a player. He's a massive safety prospect with ideal instincts and ball skills. Fits best as a strong safety, big nickel, or sub linebacker. He can consistently undercut routes and take the ball away in those roles. So many pick sixes. And that's dating back even as like a freshman playing at South Carolina. Overall, Emanwari will be a difference maker provided the team that drafts him deploys him close to the action. So I don't know that he, obviously, if you think of Cam Chancellor, that's the best case scenario for Nick Emanwari, you'd think. But he moves a lot better than a guy like that. He's super athletic. I do think he has the agility, the loose hips, and the speed to carry routes vertically. So I don't necessarily think that he needs to be limited to somebody that plays, almost only in the box. I think, as a strong safety, that's going to be a really good fit for him. And I do think, okay, maybe he's not as effective and too high playing a deep half as a strong safety, but I think he's athletic enough and instinctive enough to grow in that area. And I would just say overall with his size at 6'3", close to 230, and his movement skills, this is someone that has freak all-pro potential if things work out for him. I think he's potentially a top 10 or 15 player in the entire draft. Number 22 is another player I've been hyping up for a while. It's good to see these guys getting love. I keep mentioning these in all my mock drafts, really. How is Derek Harmon the 85th best player there? He was so good at Oregon this past season. Quick, disruptive defensive tackle with excellent instincts. As a pass rusher, he has quick hands to knock away the punch of opposing linemen. Also shows a club and rip move that helps him collect early wins. Overall, Harmon has a great feel for the game and can create a lot of havoc, despite lacking an elite trait. I just think he's a really solid pass rusher. I think that's kind of where he stands out as a player. And his pressure numbers are also insane at Oregon. The tape's really good. This is someone that I maybe doesn't have an elite trait, but he's very good in a lot of different areas. So it's good to see him here at number 22 on DJ's top 50. Mike Green at 23. Love Mike Green. Came in at 250 pounds. Has had a pretty good week of practices already at the Senior Bowl. His shorter arms maybe takes him down for a lot of different teams. Maybe doesn't meet the thresholds for a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars. But yeah, when you post 17 sacks, people are going to take notice. But it's not cleanup. It's not necessarily playing against worse competition. He's a freak type athlete with outstanding quickness. He's so good against the run. He's bendy. I love Mike Green as a player. I don't know that he's going to end up being a top 10 guy, but man, super fun player. I'm really excited to see where he goes. He's a very gifted pass rusher and more than holds his own against the run. I just think he's an outstanding type player. As a prospect, I would say It'll be interesting to see where he runs if he does, but coming in at over 250 or 251 ends up being a check mark for him. The shorter arms is just unfortunate, and this does matter because in the trenches, having long arms can stop you from getting hit first by an offensive lineman. And when an offensive lineman gets their hands on you, they can limit what you're able to do. So that's why Will Campbell is maybe not considered a generational or whatever you want to say tackle prospect. Shorter arms potentially limits him going up against the top 1% of athletes that are playing at the NFL level off the edge. Same reason that Mike Green is not listed as a top 10 player necessarily in this draft. The shorter arms potentially limits his long-term potential. That's a lot of potential in there, but I love him as a player. I think that he can overcome it. You know, he plays so well. Knows how to play with low pad level, plays the leverage game, has good hands, and exceptional quickness. Love Mike Green. And I also love another Texas Longhorn, Matthew Golden, at number 24. Average size, but plays with tremendous polish, instincts, and toughness. Spends a lot of time operating out of the slot, but I think he can play on the outside. I think he can be a Z very easily. It says overall, Golden doesn't have dynamic traits, but he's a natural football player and a quarterback's best friend. He's dependable, which is what I would say about Emeka Egbuka. The thing about Matthew Golden, well, he doesn't drop the football. He gets open a lot. He just always has the knack for making that big play. And I think part of that is because he doesn't drop the ball. But at Houston, he was a dynamic return man. So I think he's got plus speed. I think he's going to run in the 4.4s, maybe even low 4.4s. He has been elite after the catch at times. I love Matthew Golden as a player. I think he pretty much does everything well, but he's just not the biggest, which, whatever to me. I don't think that is the biggest thing. Number 25 is Emeka Egbuka. So Golden above Egbuka. They're grouped together. And I know a way DJ likes to do his top 50 is he groups certain players together. So this is a good example of it. Golden and Egbuka are like partners here, right? Where throughout the course of the process, one might separate. And you'll see a change there. But I know early in the process, he bulks guys together with very, very comparable abilities. So Egbuka is a strong physical receiver. Overall, he views Egbuka as an impact slot receiver in the mold of former Buckeye Jackson Smith and Jigba. It's pretty fitting. I mean, you can say a lot of the things about Egbuka that you can say about Matthew Golden, to be honest. I think he'd be a Z or slot. Tough, catches the football. Definitely like Emeka Egbuka. As we get to one of the more interesting players in this draft at number 26, we'll actually go back-to-back here in a minute. Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, A&M transfer, is a twitchy defensive tackle who fits best in a penetrating style of defense. He's so explosive, so quick. He really is like a flash watching him. Now, his balance isn't exactly spectacular, but his upside as a pass rusher due to his athletic makeup is just unbelievable. He played a lot better this season than he did his previous couple of years at A&M. And if things go well, he can be an all-pro type of guy. He wins a lot of battles but fails to win the war because of his inability to locate the ball. So it is maybe an instincts type problem with him, a play recognition. But if you could say, hey, go up the field, get the quarterback, I think he's going to be able to do that at a high level. You just worry about, gets caught up and washed at times. You don't want Jerry Tillery. But I'm telling you, if things go well in his development, you're looking at one of the better interior defensive linemen in the league. He is worth a dart throw anywhere in the first round, really, outside of the top 10. As is this guy. Number 27 is Texas A&M Shamar Stewart. Long, dynamic, and athletic edge rusher. He's like 290 pounds, 6'6", generates a lot of pressures but struggles to finish in the passing game. That's why his low sack total, 4.5 in 3 seasons, is misleading. Still impacts the game even without major sack production. I don't care. I don't care about production. I really don't, especially for a defensive player. Stats are misleading. Numbers never lie. They do, because they make you think somebody's better than somebody else because they were more productive in college. How do you impact the game? What's the situation? Shamar Stewart has big-time potential. He moves like he's a lot less than 290. He is explosive and has the ability to play inside and outside. He could be a monster. Against the run, he can easily set the edge, and he has the speed to chase and make plays on the backside. I'm sure some will struggle to see past the limited sack total, but there's just too much talent here to fall into that trap. Look at Nolan Smith. Not very productive at Georgia, and has like double-digit sacks this season through the regular season and playoffs combined. He's getting better and better and better. Trayvon Walker, like no production at Georgia in terms of sack total. He's posted 20+ in the past 2 years. So I'm not really concerned about production. I want the talent. I want something to develop if I'm an NFL team, and I think he's a defensive coordinator's dream. Number 28 is another player I like quite a lot. It's Boston College's Donovan Ezeraku. Ezeraku's a compact edge rusher with outstanding length, burst, and production. In the past game, he's a quick first step. This guy put up a huge sack total. I mean, he might have been the leader for all of FBS. He had maybe Mike Green had 17, he had 16.5. But Ezeraku was one of the huge early breakouts this season that you could tell within the first few weeks. Okay, you might have something here. Really, really like him. Against the run, he needs to be more consistent using his length to stack blocks. He takes them on with his shoulder too often. Shows solid effort on the backside to chase plays. Overall, he is an ideal body type to rush the passer, and he has all the tricks in his bag to win against good players. He's going to be a fun dart throw back end of the first round into the second. This edge and defensive line class is just overall insane. At number 29 is Amarion Hampton. Another player I love in this class. Big athletic back. As a runner, he likes to press the hole early before deciding to stay inside or bounce out wide. He has enough speed to capture the corner, but you got to remember, this guy's 220 pounds. He's not a speed back, but he's got big time power. He is like a better Javonte Williams coming out of UNC. Lazy comparison, but I think he's a better athlete with the big time size and contact balance that you love from Javonte Williams. Hampton's a fun player. Strong, reliable hands to catch passes. In pass pro, he's quick to sort and attack blitzers with a sharp 6-inch punch. Overall, Hampton has the size and tools to be an effective starter right away. Love him as a player. And I really like the next guy as well. I like the next two. I like this class. And it's not that these guys are all, okay, this guy's bona fide first-round talent. It's like, there's potential here. There's stuff to like. Josh Simmons was playing great before getting injured, which is said here, outstanding 2024 campaign before suffering a season-ending knee injury in October. Excellent size, movement skills, and balance. The main question with Simmons is health. What he put on tape this fall should generate plenty of optimism about his chances of becoming a quality starting left tackle in the NFL, which is very interesting about this next one. Donovan Jackson is a guard who kicked out to left tackle when Josh Simmons got hurt and played really well. Really well. His overall hand placement is excellent in both the run and pass game. Really technical guy. He had a couple tough reps against Abdul Carter, which everybody does, but he was impressed with his overall competitiveness at tackle. He is more than functional at that position, but I see him as a top-tier guard. That's a pretty good review. Starting to Pro Bowl caliber guard that can be a swing tackle with an injury. There's absolute value there. You might see Donovan Jackson go earlier than expected because of his ability to play tackle in a pinch. I think about an Elton Jenkins type of guy. At number 32, Luther Burden, I'm higher on, I think, than number 32, and also number 33 we'll get to in a minute. Burden's a quick, athletic slot receiver, and I still think he can play the Z as well. He received a lot of quick hitters in Mizzou's offense, excels in underneath option routes that allow him to combine his feel to create space and his suddenness to generate yards after the catch. Also a slot fade machine. When given the opportunity to work down the field, he can tap into another gear and track the ball smoothly. Overall, Burden is a fun player to study and reminds me of Stephon Diggs coming out of college, who ended up being quite the NFL receiver. I love Luther Burden. I think bad quarterback play and injury from Brady Cook kind of hampered what he was able to do in 2024. I think there's a big-time potential player here in Luther Burden. I would definitely have him inside my top 20, I think. 32 is okay. And this is a guy I think is a top 10 guy. Here he is at number 33, Malachi Starks. Split his time between nickelback, like I do when I'm listening to music, And safety in the Bulldogs defense. There was no need for that. I'm sorry about that. When he was in the slot, he showed quick feet with the ability to flip his hips and mirror underneath. To see him at his best, watch him carry a vertical route, stay in phase, and a high-pointed deep ball against Clemson. This was an incredible play. Leaping high. I mean, he was insane on the sideline. It looked one-handed. I don't remember it being one-handed, though, if it was or not. Anyway, from off coverage, he's aggressive to squat on routes. He's had wins and losses because of it. He was not as good in 2024, but Georgia is asking this guy to do absolutely everything. He's not playing even one or two consistent roles. He's doing everything. I think if he goes into a more defined role, he's so instinctive. Everyone speaks to his leadership and character. He's going to be a stud. I really think Malachi Starks is a fantastic player. Does he go high in the draft because he's a safety? Probably not. But I think he's so talented. Based on 2023, I think he could have been a top 10 pick. 2024 maybe pushes him down a little bit. But I think somewhere in the teens or early 20s, you're getting a really, really good player. As we get to Quinshon Judkins at 34, powerful compact runner with outstanding career production both at Ole Miss and Ohio State. He's not as polished in the passing game as Ohio State teammate Travion Henderson, but he's competent as a screen check down option, and he's aware in pass protection. He's at his best in the 4-minute offense. He closed out the Penn State game with one punishing run after another. Overall, Judkins has areas to improve, but he's a natural runner, and he's built to carry a full load as a starter. Fun player. I'm not sure he's like particularly dynamic. You know, no one's going to watch him and think CJ2K, right? Very different backs, but he doesn't have that type of or even comparable speed. I shouldn't have picked like the fastest running back ever, but he's not really like a huge home run threat, but he's just consistently give him the ball, watch him go to work. Maybe, think Joe Mixon in some ways, although not quite as dynamic as Mixon, but I think that's maybe like your ceiling on a Quinshon Judkins type player. Mason Taylor at 35. Taylor, and this is a great tight end class. So far for everyone at home, Mason Taylor here is tight end 3. Warren Loveland Taylor. I've got Taylor as tight end 5. Taylor is a big athletic tight end with excellent quickness, hands, and toughness. He's primarily lined up inline, but also flexed out in the slot, took a few reps on the outside. He's polished as a route runner, showing the ability to set up defenders, lean into them, and then create separation. Big catch radius, hauling in balls above his head, as well as below his knees. Pure hands catcher, keeping the ball away from his body. No Quentin Johnston here. Doesn't have elite top-end speed, but he's a smooth mover and can find another gear when the ball's in the air. After the catch, he can pull through tackles or make defenders miss in space. Not a mauler in the run game, but he can screen off and stay attached. Overall, Taylor has the ability to be a day one starter with high volume production. His athleticism, I think, is carrying him, but when you add his type of like polish and technical skills and ability to catch with his hands, I think that does elevate him. And maybe you see him go in like the Sam Laporta range, like one of the first picks of the second round. That could be very interesting. It's a really good tight end class. Number 36 is Ohio State running back Travion Henderson. Muscled up runner with elite speed and versatility. He's a great pass protector, and there's going to be a ton of value there. I'm interested to see what his actual usage will be. Now, he has the ability to be a 3-down player. I don't know how often I would use him in the early downs or short situations. I think this is your guy, you're like 1st and 10, like 3rd and 5. I don't think he's your 3rd and 1, 2nd and 1, goal line back, but he's such a good receiver. He's such a good pass protector, and he has big time speed to be a home run threat. I'd let him keep that home run ability and not give him 20 carries a game. I'd probably give him like 12. At number 37 is Carson Schwezinger from UCLA. He's an ultra instinctive linebacker with range and coverability. Against the run, he is quick to key and diagnose. He's adept at beating blockers to spots, dipping underneath and avoiding them with quickness. He struggles to free himself when he's forced to engage blocks, but does have outstanding lateral range, and while he lacks thump, he's a reliable tackler. Smooth and fluid in coverage and has the ability to mirror and match tight ends and running backs. Love his play speed and energy. He chases plays all over the field. Overall, he's not the most imposing figure, but he's going to rack up production because of his blend of speed and instincts. For perspective, he is 6'2", 225. So very, very different than a Jahad Campbell type player, but He brings your instincts and coverage ability, where Campbell brings your, well, he can cover a little bit, but he's, thumping ability with the super freak size and athleticism. But I know Dane Brugler loves Carson Swessinger. He's building up some steam here as we get through the process. As we get to number 38, been a long time since we've seen a tackle. Oregon's Josh Connerly got ran through by Mike Green today at Senior Bowl practices, but he has an athletic frame with solid bulk and long arms. Lined up at left tackle for the Ducks. In the pass game, he pops out of his stance with quick feet and is patient with his hands. Cut off speed rushers and effectively redirect versus counters, which we tried to see him jump set Mike Green today and get dominated. That was interesting. In the run game, he fits well initially, but needs to improve his ability to stay attached and finish. Plays under control at the second level and out in space. Overall, he's not an elite athlete, but he has the tools to develop into a starter in time. Solid starter in time. As we get to somebody I was not even familiar with at 39, Joshua Farmer from FSU. I've watched FSU, but for a corner, Azariah Thomas. I did not see Joshua Farmer. I'm sure I saw him, but he never really stood out to me. So that's always interesting. But I'm going to have to watch Josh Farmer to see if there's something here. But DJ putting him at number 39 tells me there's something here. He's got outstanding bulk, length, and strength for the position. As you can see here, he's 6'3", 315 pounds. So you're talking about someone that can be a nose tackle and line up, 0-1-3 or technique on the defensive line. Against the pass, he has a quick first step and push the pocket power. He can win early when slanting, and he flashes the ability to stack or moves together when his initial move is thwarted. We're talking about counter moves. This is good. A pass rush plan. Against the run, he faced double teams quite a bit, but he can sink his weight and hold up fine. He can stack single blocks easily. He's a lot of shock in his hands to jolt and free himself. He's a little late to locate the ball carrier at times, but once he finds him, he pursues with effort. Overall, Farmer is likely to rise up boards during the evaluation process. He is scheme versatile and provides value on every down. At number 40 is Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. As we get to a real surprise at 41, we're going to talk about. Sawyer is a big, rugged edge defender with excellent production. Against the run, he's a bully at the point of attack. Obviously, a great college football playoff run. As a pass rusher, he relies mostly on power. He runs his feet on contact, generating a push with his bull rush. He also has a violent club move. Overall, Sawyer is a dominant edge setter in the run game, and he will test the brakes of opposing tackles in the pass game. I love high effort guys, but Sawyer leaves a bit to be desired athletically. But you know what? You got to have guys that can set the edge, be an impact player on rundowns with some pass rush upside. I think that screams second round player that can develop into a starter. At number 41, though, was the surprise of the entire list to me, other than I guess Joshua Farmer, who I was not even familiar with. At number 41, it's Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart. Some people are saying QB2 in the draft. I'll talk about why I don't really believe that in a minute, but Dart has slightly below average height and a thick, sturdy frame. He's an excellent athlete and was very productive in Lane Kiffin's offensive system. Dart connects on a lot of RPOs, quick hitters, and seam balls. This is very important. This is very important. He was in a spread offense that was not NFL pro style at all. He's not an under center guy, but we'll see. He has the touch to get the ball up and down at the second level. He flashed the ability to get deeper in his progression, but the first or second option was usually open. Shout out to Lane Kiffin. His eyes work fast, and there are occasions where his feet fail to catch up, which can impact ball placement. He doesn't have a huge power arm, but he has enough to drive the ball outside the numbers without issue. His decision-making continued to improve throughout his college career, but there were still hiccups at times. I love his athleticism and competitiveness as a runner. He can create off script and execute undesigned quarterback runs. Overall, Dart is still a work in progress, but he possesses starter traits, and his competitiveness will endear him to his teammates. Okay. I think 41 to me is a little rich. You're banking a lot on developing him, which I guess is not impossible, but he doesn't have elite arm talent. It's okay. It's like pretty good, but the accuracy overall is not amazing. I think a lot of his production is due to the offense and the fact that receivers were always open. Always open. Now, I do like his athleticism, but I think based on what I've seen overall from his accuracy, decision-making, lack of experience in any type of an NFL offense, it's a lot of projecting with Jackson Dart. I like his speed. I do. But that's not really the most important thing for me at quarterback. I think if you watched his bowl game against Duke, you can buy in. He made an insane play running towards the sideline. Great play. Overall, he was not consistent this year or any year so far in college. He played in a great offensive system. He was good for what Ole Miss needed him to do. But overall, I question what he's going to look like in an NFL offense. I don't think he's close to being a starter. Maybe in a couple of years you've got something, but I just could not have him in my top 50. But I don't like any of these quarterbacks that much. Certainly not Jackson Dart. But QB3, top 50 player, fringe top 40 player for DJ. At number 42, TJ Sanders from South Carolina, long, lean, and twitchy defensive tackle. He lined up and down the front in South Carolina's scheme. He's disruptive against the pass, boasting an explosive get-off, uses his length to keep blockers off his chest. He isn't as stout against double teams and will get displaced at times, but also, if you look at his overall size, it's not exactly incredibly shocking. He's 6'4", 290. So this is someone who's more of a penetrating defensive tackle rather than, a point of attack holder. He's not someone that's going to anchor against offensive linemen and really hold the point of attack. So overall, plays with high effort. He's an ascending player with the ability to impact the quarterback. Pass rushers are more valuable than run stuffers at the NFL level. So Sanders definitely does have some value. As we get to 43, a player I like a lot, that's Florida State's Azareya Thomas. He's a tall, long, and fluid corner. In press coverage, he has the size and physicality to disrupt at the line of scrimmage, but he does need to clean up some footwork. He displays effort to chase plays from the backside. Sources from FSU rave about his intelligence and character. Overall, Thomas has some areas to clean up, but he has the foundational tools of a dependable starter. To me, I see size, speed, press ability. He's not going to fit maybe every scheme, but Pittsburgh, Green Bay, Baltimore, I think would be some good landing spots for him in the 20s. At number 44, really athletic corner here. And you can see the corners are bulked together. Harrison is a lean, athletic corner with ideal play speed and fluidity. In press coverage, he incorporates a one-hand jam before turning and carrying vertical routes. He got injured this past season. I think that kind of hurt him, limited to 7 games. But he had a very productive 2023 season, but wasn't targeted much in the games I studied from this past year. Overall, Harrison offers an enticing blend of movement skills and production. But now think about how many corners we've seen. We've seen Thomas, Maxwell Harrison, and now Benjamin Morrison at 45. No Savone Rebel, interestingly enough. Morrison is a smooth, easy mover with ball skills. He has a history of strong production before suffering a season-ending injury in October. He excels in off coverage with a fluid pedal and excellent awareness. He understands down and distance situations, settling and closing without wasting any movement. He can effortlessly flip his hips and run vertical routes. In press coverage, he flashes the physicality to reroute, but he will lose his balance at times and get beat early in the down. He's a willing tackler, sticking his chest into ball carriers to get them on the ground. He flashed timing and burst as a blitzer. Overall, Morrison has the tools to emerge as a quality starting corner, provided he returns to full health. This is a player that I don't always have in the first round, and everyone questions why. And then hopefully, I'm being questioned a little bit less here. I think the injury absolutely does hurt him, but is he significantly better than some of the other corners in this class? And I even prefer greatly Savone Rebel over Benjamin Morrison. I just think the upside's higher. But Morrison, could be a good starter. I don't think 45 is crazy, even though a lot of people are going to be absolutely floored he's not a top 20 player at this point. I think I was just a little bit disappointed by what I saw in 2024 compared to 2023. Similarly to Will Johnson, but I like Johnson more as a player. At number 46, it's Josiah Stewart from Michigan, edge rusher. Undersized bolt of lightning off the edge. He plays with tremendous passion, energy, and effort. He explodes off the line of scrimmage and is a powerful shake/bull move to generate pressures and sacks. He's only 6'1", 245. That's tiny for an NFL edge. But we've seen this type of player get some hype. You look at maybe like a Mo Kamara from a year or two ago. Stewart He's going to be a designated pass rusher. I don't know that he's going to be an every down player, but for an undersized player, plays much bigger than you might expect at the point of attack. It's going to be interesting. If he had ideal measurements for his position, he would be talked about as one of the best players in this draft. He's certainly good. Is he going to be this good against NFL competition when they're much bigger and stronger and more athletic? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what he ends up being. At number 47, Marcus Bowe from Purdue. Lean, athletic right tackle prospect. Has the movement skills of a tight end, and he's at his best in space. Overall, Bowe needs to get stronger, but zone run teams are going to love him. When you have elite movement skills, quickness, ability to get up, climb to the second level, that could be a big-time guard. But it'll be interesting to see if he sticks a tackle. Obviously, there's quite a value there as well. And he's also bulked with Gray Zabel. And if you look at Marcus Bowe as well, size-wise, you could definitely see a guard here. 6'4", 309, could potentially move inside. I think 34-inch arms, which could stick him at tackle. But it'll be interesting to see what his NFL role ends up being. But Gray Zabel will be an interior offensive lineman, guard or center. He's been great at the Senior Bowl so far. He's going to probably go at the top part of the second round. From North Dakota State, they've always got somebody, Cody Mock from a couple years ago, and now Gray Zabel, lined up at left tackle in 2024, but he's played 4 offensive line positions during his collegiate career. I believe he's best suited to play guard at the next level, but I think could be a center. He's a nasty playing style, but he doesn't get caught off balance. Overall, I see Zabel as a day 1 starter at guard. As we get to one of my favorite day 2 players, Elijah Arroyo, my tight end 3 right now, or tight end 4. I have Gunnar Helm higher. It's not Texas bias, it's just he's good. And a very good tight end class. Elijah Arroyo is an athletic seam stretching tight end with ideal size and length. He moved around the formation of Miami's offense, but he did most of his damage flexed out in the slot. He's sudden in his release, and he gains speed as he climbs down the field. He's such a fluid, easy mover with big-time speed at tight end. I love Arroyo as a prospect. He's still developing as a complete route runner, but he can do a lot of damage on limited touches because of his speed. Also another guy that's been cooking at the Senior Bowl so far. He's a really, really fun player. As we get to another Texas Longhorn, hook him, Alfred Collins. He's a dominant run defender with upside as a pass rusher. He gained a lot of weight this past season at Texas, and he was a former highly touted recruit. I mean, made one of the more crazy plays I've ever seen in the Texas versus Colorado Bowl game. One-handed interception. It was wild. But enjoyed a breakout season, finally put it all together. I said at the beginning of the year, if he can put it all together, you do have a big-time player here, and he was a big reason why Texas was so good this past season. Still generates pressure once he gets rolling, but the sacks were not there. See, a lot to work with in this department. Expect more production from him at the next level. Overall, Collins is a dominant 2-down defensive tackle with the potential to develop into more as a professional. He had a lot of hype at Texas, didn't really live up to it in his sophomore, junior year, but as he's grown, added weight, focused more on his craft, he's become quite the player for the University of Texas here this past season, and that's why he's being listed here as a potential second-round pick here in DJ's top 50. Now, there are a lot of names that you're not seeing that maybe you want to. Harold Fannin. Not surprising to me that he's not here, but no Harold Fannin. I would have had Gunnar Helm, I think, in the top 50 if you were going to include like Elijah Arroyo and Mason Taylor, but I'm a big Gunnar Helm guy. Just think he was a great one-year breakout for Texas as well. But also maybe you could say, okay, well, is it the Texas offense? But Helm is such a good blocker and is such a smooth, fluid, easy mover as well. Catches really well. I love Gunnar Helm. But we saw no Savone Revel either. In fact, let's look at PFF here and see some of the players not listed in DJ's top 50. We'll see how the PFF board compares. So let's look at players here that were not in the top 50 for Daniel Jeremiah, who are for PFF or fringe. No Nick Scorton, no Tyleek Williams, no Demetrius Knight, but that's not surprising. No Trey Amos, no Savone Revel, no Alec Iomanner, no Wyatt Milam, no Landon Jackson. I think Princely Uman Mielen ends up getting inside the top 50. He's got some character stuff, but this guy's a freak. 6'4", 260, and he is even heavier than 255, with a big-time pass rush bag. He's good against the run. He's explosive. The character could be weird here. I might even ask about that, but he's a top 50 player in the draft. I think he's going to end up getting inside the top 50. Gray Zabel is in there. No Darian Porter. No JT Tuimoloau. No Xavier Watts. No Cam Scatterbu. No Omar Norman Lott. Xavier Williams or Shrepo Sampson. No Caleb Johnson was kind of surprising to me with where Omarion Hampton was listed, because I think Caleb Johnson has a case for RB2. I love Hampton, though. Kyle Kennard, Jaden Higgins, not listed. Jack Beck, Jordan Birch, Cam Williams, Jared Ivey, Ozzy Trapilo, Chris Paul, Ariante Ursary. Who is like actually notable? Jonas Inaya, Milrow, Gabriel, obviously not there. Harold Fannin, we talked about. Helm, Deion Walker. I mean, a lot of guys missing that you think might be there. Isaiah Bond, of course, Thomas, Eamon Harmon. All so low here on PFF, and I have him in the first round of my mock drafts, especially Harmon's in every one. Eamon Thomas making more regular appearances now. No Trey Harris. No Andrew Makuba, Benjamin Urosic, Will Howard, of course. I might even prefer Will Howard to Jackson Dart. I don't know. But thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's weird where I'm just like reading somebody else's work. I'm trying to provide my own insight as well. But I think it's fun to show you guys who may have not already seen this. It is NFL.com. You can find it at Move the Sticks on Twitter. Shout out to Daniel Jeremiah. And I'm excited to see some updates somewhere down the line. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.